Tonight on the Mac to the Future Go episode live, Mac to the Future Livecast Go. Mac to the Future Go Livecast. Damn it. Episode 102, A Pro New World. Apple finally, after 6 years, makes a modular all-new Mac Pro with some throwbacks to the old cheese grater models, and a lot of people aren't happy about it. Well, of course they are. WWDC brings new versions of tvOS, watchOS, macOS, iOS, and a brand new, sort of new one, iPadOS. And sure, lots of other stuff too. Tonight on the Mac to the Future Livecast. Go! Come on. There. Why isn't it showing up? Okay.
Go!
I'm not really sure why.
Practice.
It sort of did.
Worked for probably 10 minutes ago.
There we go.
All right.
Edit here.
Yeah. Okay, it's, oh, my. What a strange new world this is. Let's see, that should be right there on me. Thank you very, very much. Is that coming up? No, it's not showing.
No?
Oh, okay, here is the problem. I see what the problem is. There. All right, it's the Mac to the Future Livecast Go, and we're doing this a whole new way. This is, instead of going through Facebook, we're actually doing this via YouTube, and then that's being redirected to the VertShark website, and I've got a chat system set up so that we can see everything on one page, and I don't have to do one of these numbers, though I'm still doing that because I'm switching video. All right. Now, come on. What is this doing to me here? I've lost my video switcher. Why have I lost my video switcher? I am very confused as to what's going on right here. There. All right. Dave. Hi.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Dave.
Hi.
There's some really weird stuff going on here.
Well, that's what happens when you like to tinker.
I know, and the lower thirds are not showing up.
My lower thirds are.
If I hit your lower third, it's not showing up. It's showing up here in this, but not over here. How confusing is this? All right, there is all kinds of things going on here that I'm not sure about. If I could bring that down to there, and then I hit this there.
Mm.
Okay. David Ginsburg, how are you this evening, sir?
Hi. How's it going? Yeah. That's what's happening. It's going well. It's going well. I'm just
much better than
filled with all this dub DC stuff this week. Yeah. Lots to talk about.
Are you excited about it?
Yeah, I'm gonna run out and buy a Mac Pro right now.
Yeah, aren't we all? And then of course there is the man who is most likely to go out and buy a Mac Pro, and that is Mr. Warren Sklar. How are you, sir?
I am not going to do it. I'm
you
stating
sure?
it now.
He's
I'm
gonna buy
stating it
it.
now, so it's on record that I am not going to buy it. Where would I put it? I'm not allowed to have.
I have
guest
never
hosts.
been to your house, so I really can't say where you would put a Mac Pro. There's probably some people who have a good idea of where to tell you to put a Mac Pro.
Probably in their house is what the answer is.
Yeah. That's the answer I was looking for. In your house.
in some. Put it in my house if we're gonna get one.
Yeah. Good to go.
There we go.
Good to go.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
So
That's good. I'm hip. I'm hip.
Yeah. I'm hip. If anybody remembers that reference, probably not, because you did. What's it from? Come on.
It's some cartoon.
Yeah, Flintstones.
Flintstones. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, just the fact that you knew it was a cartoon, bonus points.
I kind of remember it.
And the happy anniversary song. All right, we're going to scoot off of talking about Hanna-Barbera cartoons and do a couple of quick takes. The U.S. government on both sides of the aisle want to regulate big tech for reasons that show just how little they actually understand the technology they want to regulate. Comments?
What?
Have you heard about this? Nancy Pelosi, I didn't want to mention names. Nancy Pelosi and actually on pretty much on both sides of the aisle are talking about how they want to go in and change the way that big tech does stuff because they feel that they're monopolies or that they feel they have too much power or blah, blah, blah. And if anyone's going to have too much power and be a monopoly, apparently it's the United States Senate and House. And they're jealous. Okay. Dashboard, the widget environment, is finally removed from Mac OS Catalina, which we will be talking about in just a little bit. And for those who have been around for a really long time, one of my first forays into podcasting, I did a thing called the Dashboard Minute, and it was not good. It didn't last that long. Huh?
Go look that one up and listen to it.
Yeah, well, I started doing that like my Mac 33, 34, and I did it for like 50 shows.
Did it last a minute at least, or no?
No, it was usually much longer than a minute. It's still out there. I mean, if you dig way, 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 way deep into the mymac.com podcast archives, probably over in iTunes or maybe even over at mymac.com, you'll find them, and you'll find somebody who was much funnier than I was, which was Chris Siebold. Not Chris Siebold. I can't remember his name now, but he used to do this thing called Not Mac News that was just so funny. Lastly, Apple is being sued for being a monopoly with plaintiffs that apparently don't understand what a monopoly is.
They want the App Store back to the developers.
Yeah, they want the App Store. Or they want multiple App Stores, because how could that possibly go wrong? Yeah. All right. Well, Monday was the keynote for WWDC, and we had all kinds of stuff going on.
2 hours and 15 minutes worth.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was sitting there at work and just kind of switching back and forth because I don't know. Where I work, they sit there and go, well, you've just sat there for 2 hours and 15 minutes and haven't done squat. So it was like a regular work day for me.
No.
So, first one I want to talk about is tvOS 13. And did either one of you know that tvOS was numbered?
Yeah.
And that they'd had 12 previous versions of it?
Absolutely.
No.
I was not aware of that. I didn't realize there were so many versions. So this is supposed to bring...
There's not. They matched it up with iOS.
Okay. Well, this is supposed to bring multi-user support, mostly related to Apple TV Plus. When that's released, then that's my guess, with personalized recommendations based on who's asking. Big news, PlayStation and Xbox controllers will now work to help support arcade so people don't have to try and use Apple's crappy controller. So, Warren, what do you think?
Actually, there was, I think yesterday or today, they had a thing where the PlayStation, somebody took a PlayStation controller and was able to hook it up to an iPhone or an iPad and stream PlayStation, like their online thing, through the phone, and they were playing PlayStation on their phone. So they're trying. That's what I think.
Well, I think that's like a whole different service, I think.
Well, it's a whole different service, but it's their willingness to start getting support from Xbox controllers and PlayStation is a good beginning for gamers. because now, in theory, if they could use those to play games on the Apple TV, and from what I'm hearing, the iOS devices, then, in theory, you could stream stuff. You could play Apple Arcade with these devices. It opens up a whole new controller world for people, is what it does.
Okay. And actually, before we go on, everyone who's joining us in the chat, you can change the name of your little chat client there to something else if you want. It'll make it easier to figure out who you are as you make comments here. Makey Mac says now nobody knows who I is. Me likes, and he says that Warren is a laptop user only. But getting back to tvOS, Dave, what do you think?
Well, one thing I'm very excited about is the fact that they got the multi-user support. I think that's going to be a big thing. Obviously, Apple wanted to do this because, like Netflix, you have multiple users. You can go between content, so you don't have to share everything in one place. So, definitely a game changer for the Apple TV. The controllers, I'm not much of a gamer, but I think that's a great idea. If they really want to, with the game platform it's coming, I think that was a smart idea, teaming up with PlayStation and Xbox to do that. So,
well, have either one of you heard anything about pricing for arcade? I haven't heard anything.
Nope.
They still haven't said
And
anything.
you'd think with WWDC going on that somebody would have heard a clue about something. I mean, they have all these new services coming out, and we have no idea what any of this stuff is going to cost, or if they're going to have like bundled deals or something along those lines, which would just kind of make sense to me. Next up, Watch OS seems to be about making the Apple Watch less reliant on being paired with an iOS device. So it now will have its own app store that you can browse on a teeny little screen, and a few new apps. If you have an Apple Watch with its own cellular connection, this might be pretty exciting for you. One thing highlighted was that the watch can now be used to track a woman's monthly menstrual cycle. No jokes. No, and of course, naturally, new watch faces and bands. So we all have Apple Watches here, don't we?
Yep.
What did you guys think? Now, which one are you guys on? I have a 3.
4.
You're both on 4s. Okay, so you'll get much more out of this than I will. So, what did you guys think about the the new stuff they talked about in the WatchOS? Do either one of you see going to the Watch App Store on your watch as being something that you'd want to do?
Yeah, I have. So I put the beta on my watch, and I checked out the App Store, and it's fine.
Is it usable at all?
Oh yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So you get a little. It says App Store. See it?
Yeah.
App Store. You click on it, and then kind of comes up. It's not going to work now because I unpaired everything because I'm reverting back. But it brings up kind of like a curated list, big pictures. You click on it. There's a get button. It's not as bad as it sounds. It's fine. Okay. And it worked. So when you install the app, it actually installs it on the watch and then also on the phone, the companion app if it has one. So
well, why didn't you just revert the watch back? Knowing the answer. What about you, Dave?
Oh, I think the app, the WatchOS is that app store is awesome. I think that was a smart idea. They're trying to go away from making this an independent device. They're not going away from it. They want to make this an independent device, and I think that's a great idea. So kudos to them for doing that and making this a whole nother environment. I mean, so we've gotten like all kinds of new stuff here to now this with this announcement. The other thing that really stood out to me is the hearing health with the decibel measure, the decibel measure, being able to measure in the room how loud it is wherever you are, and warns you that you're gonna affect your hearing if you continue to stay in this room. And when they demonstrated on the stage, it went up to like 90 decibels. So I think that's pretty impressive. I never realized that the Apple Watch has that type of sensor that can measure that kind of that sound, which is it's pretty awesome.
Well, I know because they did demo that there on stage as they
Yeah.
were going through some of the various things like that, and it was like okay, don't make me look like an idiot here. Let everybody clap, and they finally got everyone to applaud, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, fine. All right. Anything else about the watch that you guys want to talk about?
No, just I get to track my wife's cycles now, which is good.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Actually, I could see that saving some
Nice.
lives.
Yeah,
I can see that saving
Yeah.
some lives.
And
All right.
marriages.
Next up, the Mac OS, the new version of the OS is being called Catalina, which I was reminded by someone is also a salad dressing. So ranch, blue cheese, and creamy garlic Italian can't be too far off. Yes, I will reuse this joke in other podcasts. More iOS apps are coming to the Mac for better or for worse, and this will be made easier for developers to incorporate with Catalyst, which is the process that I guess is replacing marzipan.
Yes.
There's also Screen Time, which is a built-in app to support your iPad as a secondary monitor instead of third-party apps that sometimes does and sometimes doesn't work. Dave, was there anything in particular about the Mac OS that kind of called out to you?
Other than we'll talk about the iTunes in a little bit here, that was the biggest thing that called it out to me on the Mac OS. Screen time, I'm not excited about that. The sidecar for the secondary monitor that's are we really could we really call that a bit Sherlocking some of the other
That
apps
didn't
out
work
there,
that
like,
well anyway.
Well, Luna's display and
Yeah.
Luna display.
Duet-
Luna actually works
Duet.
pretty good.
Luna
Or
works.
Display, excuse
Duet.
me.
There's Duet and X Display. Yeah, there's a few of them.
I could never
Luna,
really get that to
Luna
work that
display
well.
works great with the USB
With the dongle.
adapter.
Okay.
The dongle. I think that was good. I've only had installed on a spare machine for a short time, so I haven't had a chance to look at it as of yet. I mean, other than getting installed, and the most exciting thing I was wanting to look at was iTunes. Like I said, we'll talk about that. So,
What about you, Warren?
Yeah, I installed the beta on my iPad Mini, and I did use the sidecar, and it worked a lot better than at least Duet did. I don't have Luna. I didn't buy the dongle thing, but it's weird. iOS on the iPad the Mini is so small, but when you use it as a sidecar, it works really well. You could actually drag stuff over just as the other stuff works, but it's more responsive than the other stuff I've seen. So yeah, they Sherlock them. I think it's a good thing. Why not? I like Dave said, I don't think screen time on my Mac is a big deal since I'm the only one using it. But I could put on my son's when my son upgrades his computer to Catalina. I could
Right.
use that for him, which is probably a good thing. I'm not sure if I read or heard, but I'm not sure if they tie together with the iOS screen time and the Mac OS screen time, because that would actually be neat if you could combine them at least so you could see where and what they're doing on both devices. Yeah, just the iTunes split. And there's not much else really going on. I'm looking at the beta. Most everything else is kind of the same.
Yeah, and there's a few other things that we'll go into after we go through the list here.
Yeah, not much else.
Next up is here's the weird thing though. This was like one of the longest keynotes that I've heard from Apple in a very, very long time, and I could as I was watching it,
one.
yeah, it never really lagged that much. I mean, there were a couple of times when you were just kind of sitting there going, "Okay, come on," it wasn't.
The
it wasn't-
Minecraft is.
Yeah,
Minecraft
yeah, that
demo
went
was
on a little long.
The only one, yeah. I think
The,
that was the only part that I was actually saying, "Let's go on." But yeah,
But it wasn't like the Apple TV Plus presentation, which was just that was a nightmare for me to watch. I think watching it, making somebody watch it for the second time would violate the Geneva Convention. All right. Moving on to iOS. iOS is getting dark mode. There's improved mapping in Apple Maps and some pretty good privacy features. For instance, apps requesting your location will have to request it each time, and they will not receive any personal info about the requester. And also the Apple sign-in option I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah. That was
Warren?
huge.
Yeah, the dark mode looks good. I've played with that too. What else did you say? Dark mode. What was the second one you said?
Oh, the second one was location being sent
The
to
location stuff.
applications.
Yeah, that's good too. There's a lot of that. In
There
the
was a
beta-
lot of privacy stuff in this one. They really were pushing it hard.
So in the beta, I'm sure it will calm down, but every app that you go in says, it wants to use Wi-Fi, it wants to use Bluetooth. This app wants to wipe your butt. Everything it wants to do, it pretty much talks about it on the phone. So yeah, that's a big thing. And then the single sign-on, I think, is the biggest surprise and the biggest. I'm excited about it.
Well, the cool. I mean, it replaces all those. Use your Google, use your Facebook, use your Instagram, use your whatever to sign into this website. Because once you do that, they have access to all of your data over there too. So this is a definite plus for those of us who don't want a lot of their personal information, especially related to pictures or whatever, getting out to advertisers.
It's not supposed to be. In theory,
right. Well, in theory,
these single sign-ons. I mean, in theory, there's the whole thing that basically was an OAT, which I think is what it is. OAT, which is the authentication method. That's just using it as a token to bring it over. So even before all this, it's a theory, but they still got your email address. So the only thing that kind of really was interesting is that fake email address trail, which is great. That's the cool part of it.
That was big.
So, because when you sign up for this stuff, you start getting emails from these people that you don't want. And then the email will come to you. So that's a good thing. There are some stories already today about Apple getting a little bit scrutinized for it. They're forcing people to. The first one is they're going to force developers to put it on top. So it's going to say sign in with Apple and small tiny letters on the bottom, sign in with Facebook or small letters with Google, pretty much to prioritize that. And then there was something else about some of their practices might be off too with with what they're keeping, but it's in progress. So it's a good move Apple made. There's no reason they had to do it. And I think it's I'm excited about that.
Okay, what do you think, Dave?
Yeah, no, I definitely think I was very excited about that single sign-on. That is going to be a big game changer, I think. I would never use Facebook to sign in anything, and I would rarely use Google, but I would trust Apple only because that feature of the anonymous email address that it gives out, which is great. Very excited about that. One of the other things, the reminders, I think that was another thing I was really excited about, that they've been completely overhauled and they did an updated look, making the app more useful than it ever has been. And you know how important it was to be able to change your emoji so you can put makeup on, and the emoji stickers. Those are important too. Yeah. I can put some piercings into my nose and put some blush on my.
That's what all the cool kids are doing.
Yeah, I made one today too.
Lots of piercings. No, I want. What do they call those stupid round things they're putting in their earlobes?
Oh yeah, the holes, the big.
I can't. It's there's a name for it that sounds almost as stupid as the thing itself. Okay.
Just want to grab them by the ears, right?
Yeah. Like, come here, you. Yeah, I don't really get it, but okay, I'm old, so what do I know? Next up is HomeKit. Privacy continues here with devices being shut off from sending potentially personalized information before being analyzed and going off to iCloud. Some vendors' routers as well will channel off connected devices to keep them safe. More information, no doubt, as will be forthcoming as release dates get closer. Do either one of you use any home automation?
Yes.
What are you using, Dave?
Well, I've got the automated switches. It's basically what I have. Nothing
Just
crazy.
for like turning off lights and stuff?
On and off lights, yep. And that's about it. I mean, I'm sure Warren has like a Nest or something like that, or one of the thermostats. But I haven't got into that yet. But I think this is something. I think this is something that was a great
Gauge.
announcement. Gauge.
Yeah, that's what they call it, the things in the ears.
You're-
Marky Mac just put it in there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Turn it off there. That's okay. And then with support for routers and for video cameras, but I saw they were limited on the support for that. That was a good announcement for that too.
Okay, what about you? What do you got going on at your house, Warren?
My house is like a robot. I have two houses. We have a beach house, and like you know,
Right.
we have a house here. We have Amazon Alexas everywhere. Got light switches, power switches, power outlet things. I have a Nest in one of them that's controlled with it. One of my favorite ones, Harmony. It hooks up to your TV, so you can control your TV. But I do have the beach house has an August lock, which is HomeKit. That I use it for the HomeKit, so I could unlock and lock my front door from that with Siri, which actually does work. I could, as I'm coming up to the house, I could go to my wrist and say, "Open the front door," and it will open it up, which is really cool. I have a couple light switches that are HomeKits, but I didn't purposely not buy HomeKit compatible stuff. I just bought what was rated well and was on sale, and a lot of it's just not HomeKit compatible, or it wasn't at the time. But I have a few things in my home, and yeah, I love it. We all love it.
Okay. I don't have any of that stuff yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
So
it's addicting. So,
the next one I think took everybody by surprise. It didn't work for Apple, and that was the iPad OS. Now on the iPad front, Apple has spun off iOS for the slab and created iPad OS with new multitasking features, sort of mouse support, and better ways to find stuff using files. Also support for external media like hard drives, SD cards, and so on. Now, as I was watching this, I was sitting there going, come on, show the mouse, show the mouse, show the mouse. And they never did. It wasn't until I think the next day that I saw somebody demonstrating it. And it's not exactly overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I did it. So,
it's not bad.
It's not good. So it's in accessibilities, and basically it's
Yeah.
I was able to pair Logitech Bluetooth mouse with my iPad Mini 5, and it comes up with a little kind of circle.
I saw that.
A circle on it, and you kind
Now,
of move the
why
circle
would they do that? Why would they use an icon like a circle?
Because it's an accessibility thing. It's 100% not designed to be a mouse. It's 100% to be something that for somebody who maybe doesn't have fingers is what it is. It's literally for somebody who has an accessibility issue of being able to touch an iPad screen for whatever reason, but can use a mouse. So I'm guessing somebody with maybe like one finger, well, that wouldn't even work. If you have one finger, you could do the screen. I don't know. I don't know who it's for, but it's not for.
It wasn't us.
It's not for mouse people. And I've heard a few people say some apps work, some apps don't work with it. So it's not universal around it, but you can definitely click around the home screen and open stuff. But it's not great.
Okay. Well, did you try it with external media?
No, actually no, because I don't have a Pro with a USB-C connection.
Does that require USB-C? It should. I mean, even if you're still on a Lightning connector, there, you have Lightning to USB 2. so you should be able to hook up something. Or
use
is
an adapter.
the input devices? I mean, I can't imagine why it would require a protocol like USB-C, because the protocol, as far as I know, for USB isn't really all that different. It's just more efficient and speedier.
For what kind of adapter? So you need a Lightning to USB-C.
Lightning to USB 2.
You need the camera kit, I guess, is
Or
the only thing
USB-A.
like that.
USB-A is what I meant, not USB 2.
The only
Yeah,
thing like that
Yeah,
is
they've had
the
the
camera
dongles for
kit.
years.
For
Camera
what?
kit one, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's a camera kit. So I don't have the camera kit. I have one of those SanDisk Lightning USB drives that you were able to connect before that I could play around, see if that works.
Right.
That worked before with its companion app. So you have a SanDisk app and it will see what's on that thing, but it was limited to, pictures, videos, things like that.
Right. And now it's pretty much open for whatever.
I guess. I mean, I don't
In
know
theory.
what happens if you try to open something on it. Yeah, I'll try it and see what happens.
Okay.
That wasn't huge excitement for me.
Oh man, as I was watching that, and as soon as the iPad OS came up on the screen, I was like, and it's not available yet, which
Yeah,
you
but
know,
what do
'cause
you like? What do you?
I don't
use
know.
with,
I don't know. I just it's like with everything else. I just want it, So
Get a
next
developer
up,
account.
let's have a sad moment of reflection for iTunes. It's going away. It's
It
pretty
is
much
not
dead, with its
going
remaining
away.
features split between music, podcasts, TV apps, and syncing that is now incorporated. I thought this was interesting, into the Mac OS Finder. Dave put up a. Let me go ahead and grab that link, and I will put that into the chat. This is a support article that you found for it. Let me see if I can do this correctly. There we go. So there is a link to the support article that Dave found. I don't know. The only thing that I really miss about iTunes is app discovery in iOS and being able to reconfigure my screens on either the iPhone or the iPad there on my computer instead of having to try to do it on the device itself. It's just so much easier. I haven't really bought that many apps since they took app support out of iTunes. I just haven't done it. It's much more cumbersome now. What do you think, Warren?
What do I think? Well, everything's still there. iTunes is still there. It's just there's a music app. There's there's an iPod app, a music app, podcast app, and the Apple TV app or the TV app. So it's just split up, and they look sort of similar. When the music app especially looks like the iTunes section of music, so that's there. The Finder thing looks exactly like the same. It's the exact same screen as the iTunes screen when you click on the device, and it brings up the update or backup options there. So that's exactly the same. There's nothing different on that screen either, and it behaves just the same way. So I mean, it's really no different. I mean, the iOS stuff is gone. It's been gone. So it doesn't bring that back. I tried to do what you did to organize my iOS screens with the iTunes. It is like maybe a little bit better, but they're both horrible. Just horrible ways to organize your screens. That's what I really wish they would come up with. Yeah. If they didn't announce it, but they just need, like, I don't know how hard it is to put up an emulation of your iPhone on the Mac screen somehow and just drag the stuff around. They really don't allow it.
Well, I mean, they already had it. They had it up to 2 years ago or so, 3 years ago, and then they took it away. Whoops,
even
sorry,
on that,
wrong one.
Even on that, it was pretty crappy though, because you remember you had like the 5.
Sure.
Every screen had its own screen, and you still had to kind of. it was just like you were dragging into I mean, give me even like a folder, like, you know, let me plug in the thing and have like a list of my folders with the an icon of the app and be able to move things into those folders and then just put them alphabetically. There's nothing like that. It's just weird that they really don't want you organized. They don't want you to care about it. But iTunes is really not going. It's just split up. So
Okay.
people,
Yeah.
if you go on the internet, people are like, I got this iTunes gift card. Oh, what am I going to do with it now? It's
Oh.
Well, now it all just
useless."
goes to it just all goes to your Apple account now. You can use it for anything you want.
That's
Well,
how
iTunes,
we
it
have
still can do exactly what it did, before all this. It's exactly the same thing.
that
You
hasn't
could buy,
changed.
you could buy apps. You could buy, you can still
Well, no, you can't buy
music.
apps in iTunes anymore.
Sure, you can.
Yes, it's all the
With your
same.
iTunes store card. Sure, you can.
It's
Well, no,
the app
but you have to do you have to
/iTunes
do it
store.
you have to do it from the iOS, from your iOS device. Or are
Yeah,
you
but
talking
people
about
can
going to the
do it from
website and buying it
iTunes?
there?
No.
No, you can do it from iTunes. You can do it from now these new ones with the music and the Apple TV stuff. It's all one. It's all one hopper.
Well, no, I'm talking about
Anything
applications.
you buy. Yeah,
No, people are
you can buy-
complaining that
I
they're,
have
they're not going to
I
be
have
able
my
to.
Apple ID account that has money.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what
Right.
people are worried about. They're worried that their Apple ID iTunes account is useless because iTunes is gone. Because Dan Rather came on, or whoever's name is, Brian Williams came on and said, and this Apple had a thing, and iTunes is no longer there. Everybody's switching around.
No, the
Crazy
money
people.
stays the same. They're not going to drop the money.
Right, but
Yeah.
if you go on Facebook and start
Oh,
looking,
okay.
everything's like, I have
Well,
I have
because
an
that's
Apple.
because
source.
everything on freaking Facebook has to be drama. You know, it's part of the reason why I'm kind of trying to see if I can do the show from my own website instead of having to
But
deal
people-
with Facebook's crap.
But people who don't know anything about technology see the news stories and say iTunes is gone. They don't understand that.
That article clears it up. I mean,
Okay.
all of everything I have a good amount of money that I keep in. It pays for my iCloud. It pays for my apps. It pays for my music. It pays for my my books. I mean,
Yeah.
everything that's related to my Apple ID, that's paid for. Music. I mean, I've got Apple Music. That pays for Apple Music. I mean, so once my $99 comes up for the year, it'll come out of my gift cards that I've already purchased. It's in my account. Case.
Well, now
There's
depending
two-
on. Go ahead. Warren.
There's two gift card methods. There's the iTunes store stuff, and then there's
Uh-huh.
the physical store stuff, and that's where people get confused about a lot too. It's like, I have $100 iTunes gift card that mom gave me for Christmas. Can I walk into the Apple store and
Yeah.
get a iPod shuffle? Right, that. So you can't go into
That's
the Apple
different.
store and buy a Mac with that,
There you go.
and you can't buy iTunes.
$80.
But you can, if you had the store credit, you can use that to buy iTunes cards, I think, right? If somebody gave you a store
I think
credit
so.
for, yeah, because they sell that. But you buy the cards to use in iTunes.
Okay. There was a few other things that were mentioned at WWDC. We're not going to go over all of it. Real quick though, the Swift UI programming language for people who are programmers. Apparently, Swift as a programming language has just grown by leaps and bounds, according to Apple and some of the other sources that I've seen online. I'm not a programmer, so can't say I understand it. Kind of big news. Find My Mac and Find My iPhone are going away, and it's being replaced by Find My. And
Insert
one
dirty
of
word
the-
here.
yeah,
And also combines Find My Friends,
Find
too.
My. So
Find this.
yay! So one cool thing about this is that you can remotely lock any device that you have. You'll be able to pinpoint sort of devices that aren't in your physical presence. And it was kind of cool the way they show how that's done. And for a company that is like so focused on privacy, when they talked about the method on how iPhones and Macs and all the rest of these can be found, even if they're off, even if, they're not around. Basically, they'll connect up with other Apple devices that are in the area and transmit its location back to whoever is requesting it. And I'm sitting there thinking, that sounds a little hinky to me. But at the same time, for, you lose an iPhone or somebody steals a MacBook Pro, they can't just, wipe it clean or just leave it off and hope that you'll get bored trying to find it, because there's a good chance that it'll turn up. Unless they put it like in a Faraday cage or something like that. All right, now the big thing that they announced that has everybody over at the Mac the Future Facebook page and in such an uproar is the new cheese grater Mac Pro and a new 32-inch Incredimonitor with a $999 stand and a $200 Visa mount. The Mac Pro starts at $6,000 and goes from 8 to 28 cores, Xeon, Intel Xeon processors. And you can put up to, I had to double check this number because I was kind of like, wait, hold on a second. 1.5 terabytes of RAM. Terabytes of RAM.
TB.
Which is like, that's crazy. That is like an insane amount of RAM.
Hardcore video editing.
Oh my, when he was showing, he went into Logic and he was like, well, let's throw another 100 tracks on there. Let's throw an orchestra on there. And as I'm watching the track count go up, and it's just rolling through it like this. And I was like, oh my, and in the meantime, my 4-core i7 iMac here, I put 4 or 5 tracks into GarageBand, and it's like, oh God, I can't take it anymore. So, yeah, but at the same time, I don't think that I'll be spending $6,000 to $10,000 for a low, and that's for a low end Mac Pro. But I am not, as has been pointed out, its target market.
The target market for this machine is for high-end video editors, your Hollywood types, people who are doing some hardcore editing and they require this major horsepower. Apple came to the game because there was people bellyaching for years because of the trash can Mac Pro. What a disgrace. So now they come up with it. Yeah, it's expensive, but it's rightfully so. It's expensive because
it's a pro freaking machine.
It's a pro freaking machine.
They like it. They're happy.
I just don't understand people.
Yeah.
This is not for your average computer user, period.
The people that it's meant for are happy. They're excited about this machine.
Well,
100%. My God. Game changer, they said. A lot of comments I read. Game changer.
Yeah.
Here's my theory. People have gone out and they've bought up all the 2010 to 2012 Mac Pros. And just regular people, now that they're, reasonable prices. And, they're doing their whatever stuff it is that they're doing on those old Mac Pros and thinking, sooner or later, this isn't going to have support anymore as far as the operating system goes. And so I'm going to start bitching and moaning that Apple needs to come out with a new Mac Pro. So they did. And lo and behold, it's priced even higher than the new prices on the 2010 to 2012 Mac Pros that they bought for $500 to $1,500
$6
to 10 years later. This is a beast of a machine, and unless you are trying to render Hollywood movies, or you work for Pixar, or you work for Warner Brothers and you're mixing the next Van Halen album. Actually, that's probably not a good comparison, but you're mixing some kind of album from someone that needs auto tuning for their voice and the way they play their instruments and everything else. That's what these kinds of machines are for, so that when they want to listen back to something, or they want to go back and watch something that they've just done, they don't have to sit there and say, okay, well, you know what, I've got to hit render. And if you'll come back in about 10 minutes, it'll have like that first 30 seconds so you can kind of get a glimpse of what it's really doing. And if you wait like an hour or so, it'll render the whole thing. And oh my God, you'll be so impressed. And then come to find out, well, there's this one thing we need to change. So, you know, everything that you've just done, out the window. With a machine like this, it's like, oh, you want to see it right now? Poop, there it is. It's all done. So,
yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head about that. These video editors, their time is valuable. I mean, by having a machine like this, they've been waiting for years. They're now going to be able to get their jobs done in record time, and time is an expense all by itself. And
it is.
From the amount of time they'll save, what this computer costs is nothing. Absolutely.
But now I had a Mac Pro 5.1. Marky Mac is talking, saying he has 2 of them, and those are super awesome machines. And my son currently has the one that I used to have, and I've already told him that when he buys himself a new machine, I want that one back, because it was just such a fantastic machine. I loved that computer. What else? I think that's about it. Can you guys think of anything else from the keynote that we didn't talk about that's cool?
One thing I thought was really cool is the AirPods now being able to read your messages back to you. Once a iMessage comes in, they'll actually be able to read it to you while your AirPods are on. I thought that was a awesome new feature that's coming out. I guess for right now it's not supported on the in beta. It's not supported on the old style AirPods, but on the new ones. But I think in future betas and maybe the future permanent version that it should be supported by both.
Well, I mean, I've got the older ones here, and the first gen, and they're fine. By the way,
if you didn't notice, because my batteries died.
Oh, did they? I hadn't even noticed that you'd switched. All right. Great Creation says that these Mac Pros are also very well used for medical imaging analysis, and that he's seen some older Mac Pros that are also used for that. And yeah, there's like, I mean, this is a literal beast of them. And you can rack mount them if you need like 10 or 20 of them rack mounted. Oh my God, you can do that as well. And do I wish I had one? Sure. Would I use it to anywhere near its fullest potential? Don't think so. I'm not even, except when I'm recording audio for my Mac, I'm not even using this 2018 iMac to its fullest. We're at the point now.
My 8-core.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of these computers, especially now that they've gone multi-core, if you're just an average Joe Schmo, or even if you go a little bit beyond that, if you're like a prosumer, which I don't even know if I like that word, but if you do a little bit more with your computer than most people do, you're not just doing mail and Facebook, he said, rolling his eyes, and, checking out various sites on the web and all that and playing a couple of games. If you're actually using it to create content, even Macs from 2, 3, 4 years ago are plenty powerful enough to do all these things. And so when you look at a machine that has up to 28 cores, 1.5 terabytes of RAM, and literally practically unlimited storage, and you sit there, well, what would I use that machine for? I have no idea. Basically, the computer would die of boredom if I had it. It would be like, will you play? I'm only using 2 cores here. Come on, step it up, man. Step it up. Okay. Anything else before we close it off for the night?
If the 3 of us pitch in,
we still couldn't afford one.
No, I think we could almost get one, and then we'll, every other week, will you just ship it? How much do you think it would be to ship that?
Oh, probably quite a bit.
We'll spend more money on another one if we did that.
All right. Dave, if people wanted to get a hold of you, I forgot to move the little cards that, whoop, that's not Dave. This is Dave.
No.
If people wanted to get a hold of you and and find out about the things that you do, how would they do that?
They would go to intouchwithios.com. I just did a new episode talking about this very topic yesterday with Mr. Barry Falk. And
Barry!
go take a listen. Give it a listen. Give it a listen. Give that a listen. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, take a beer.
And always some great episodes on there. And then on my other side, another project I do is another podcast, Off the Charts Horseracing.com. We got the Belmont Stakes this weekend, so I'll be having fun doing that. And Twitter, DaveG65.
What about you, Warren?
Warren will be in Europe, so you can't get a hold of me.
Oh, okay. Well, that works. If you would like to get a hold of me, you can send me an email, guy@mymac.com. You can also reach me via the Twitters. My Twitter handles are MacParrot and VertShark. And as a matter of fact, VertShark is the site that we are all watching this on right now, redirected from YouTube. You know what we forgot to talk about was MacStock. We were just talking about Barry, forgot to talk about MacStock. MacStock Expo for 2019 is going to be July 27th and 28th in Woodstock, Illinois, just about an hour outside of Chicago. If you can't get to Chicago from where you live, you got more serious problems than anything you're going to hear on this show. So easy to get to. $249 is the entire cost for this conference. But wait, there's less. You can use the coupon code MyMacGuy, MyMacGuy, for $70 off that price, reducing your cost to $179. And this includes the Friday night shindig, the conference on Saturday and Sunday, the game show on Saturday night, and just the camaraderie that comes with the MacStock Conference and Expo. This has been going on now. This is the 5th year for the MacStock Conference and Expo. You can find out more information by going to MacStock 2019 or MacStockConferenceandExpo.com. And what am I missing here? I also do. Oh, go ahead.
There is going to be some pre-MacStock events. You should go to barryfolk.com and check out all the pre-MacStock festivities. If you happen to come into town a couple days early, we're going to a White Sox game, and we're going to be doing
nice
a walk going to Lincoln Park Zoo on Wednesday and Thursday of that week. So check that out too.
Well, you know, I'm taking the train to Chicago. Should be there sometime on Thursday. And then I'll be doing my normal thing where I try to pick up a couple of people at the airport on Friday. I probably shouldn't have said that. So people will be like, "Oh, you can pick me up too." But it's gonna be so much fun. So if you can make it to the MacStock Conference and Expo, you really should do so. Now, I think that's about it.
That's it.
Did you have anything else, Dave, Warren?
Well, I am away for the next 3 weeks.
You're going to be away for 3 weeks. And you're going to be here next week, Dave?
I'll be here next week, but then I'll be away for 2 weeks.
Okay, so
after that.
Not next week, but for the 2 weeks after that, if somebody would like to come on to the show, let me know. And we can talk about some Mac stuff.
Come on.
Yeah, man, it's fun. It's fun. I don't bite much.
You know you want to.
We have fun. We have fun.
You do.
You know you want to. You all know you want to.
You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. All right. So I think that is going to do it. Thank you all so very, very much for joining us this evening on the Mac to the Future live. Mac to the Future. God. Yeah. Mac to the Future Go live cast.
Whoa!
We'll see you all next week. Say goodnight, Warren.
Bye.
Good night,
Say goodnight,
Warren.
Dave.
Good
We're
night,
gonna go.
Dave.
Bye.
Bye.